What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Stoppage Time Stooges. As you can see, it is episode 28. We're talking UEFA Champions League quarterfinals. We're making some predictions. As you can see, though, we're down to three. No Andrew tonight. It's an unfortunate miss, but we'll be sharing his predictions, his X factors, as you saw in our previous round of 16 predictions. So you kind of know the order and how we re-roll. But before we get started, guys, how we doing?
Great. Want to wish first off, we want to wish Andrew Hard a very happy birthday. By the way,
Very
let's not
true.
forget that.
Yes.
Very happy birthday to our co-host who is not here tonight, but we love him very much, and we definitely want to wish him happy birthday.
Yeah, definitely. What's the thing we do where the balloons come up? Or is it like the peace sign?
Oh, is it? You want to do
Yeah,
that?
that right.
Oh, it's not working.
No, not gonna work. I guess it's only. I guess it's only a trick that works when there's four of us, and Jacob is the one.
It only works when I'm being fake happy.
That's so lame. Well, that failed miserably. Sorry, guys.
Oh, well, for those watching or those listening, we're trying to put up balloons on our StreamYard, but clearly not working. Anyways, unfortunately for Andrew on his birthday, Brighton could not pull out a victory. That was very unconvincing 0-0 draw against Jonathan Canane's Brentford, but
Ugh.
that's a discussion for another day. This is all about the Champions League. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about a Jacob's club who, again, continue to frustrate him. So, Jacob, the floor is yours.
I'm not going to stop doing that breathing thing so I don't scare whoever's listening to this, scare them too much if they're listening to this. I don't want to breathe like I'm a maniac, but I mean, I'm not. I will say this: I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Did I see this coming? No. I thought, you're at home. You got Burnley, the team that is in 19th place, second to last in the table. That very clearly, not like this is like a fight for them to get into 18th. No, 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 no. They are firmly in that second to last place. And if you watch them play, you'd understand why. So let me get this straight. So Chelsea were at home. They're up 1-0, or excuse me, it's 0-0, and Burnley goes down to 10 men. They have a 1-0 lead. Then they have a 2-1 lead, and they somehow and the manager is not available for the second half because he got sent off. And the best player on the team, arguably, is Dr. Fofana, who's on loan from Chelsea, is not available because of loan rules, and they can't win the damn game. With all of that going on. And I know, oh, hey, they didn't lose. They picked up a point. That feels like almost one of the worst losses that I have witnessed this year. It feels worse than some of the losses that I have witnessed this year. That's how pathetic that game was. You can't beat Burnley at home with 10 men? Really? I mean, oh my God. I mean, and I'm gonna go through the game for people that did not watch this. So early on, the stupid VAR gets the hijinks going early when they disallow a goal because it goes off Axel Disasi's arm after this great cross from Mudryk. When if you watch the damn replay, you could clearly see that it's a normal arm motion because when he's lunging, what is he supposed to do? Lunge like that with his arm behind his back? Because that's how normal people run. They grab their arm so they can shove it away so they don't commit a stupid handball, and they just lunge like a fish into the damn water. I mean, I'm sorry. Like and first off, stop calling it handball if it's your entire arm. I mean, that kind of bothers me. It's handball. It grazed his shoulder. Oh, what a handball! Like, come on, man. I mean, and what sucks is it was such a great cross from Mudryk. It was worthy of an assist. It was. But nope. Chop it off. And then we see I don't even know who the guy's name is. Commits a foul. It's his second yellow, and he's sent off for a red card. Now, there was a big debate about, that's not a second yellow, It's definitely a foul. So either way, it was in the box. It's a foul. It's a penalty. And then he gets sent off. The manager, Vincent Company, gets sent off, and then Chelsea take the lead. It's 1-0. They go into halftime up 1-0 with against a team with 10 men, and again, as I will reiterate, doesn't have their manager. Well, unfortunately, the Burnley team not having their manager may have actually been a blessing in disguise. Because they haven't looked that good in I don't know, all year. They somehow looked better with 10 men and a different manager. I'm serious. I mean, they look better against Chelsea with 10 men and a different manager.
And without the best number 9.
Bam! I mean, could you add more of an insult to the injury? Could you? On and on and on and on and on. They gave up a cheap goal, of course. I mean, it was not a cheap goal, but they gave up a stupid goal to early on in the half.
2 minutes in.
2 minutes in. I guess they were off to Cancun. They must thought the game was clearly over. My God, I would pay so much money to see these Mauricio Pochettino halftime talks. Because everyone must get worse than the last one. Because every time they come out flat, every single time they come out flat, flatter than frickin' Flat Stanley. Every time. And nothing, and then I remember it was a 62nd minute. Again, Mudryk, who I thought really played well, despite the fact that he didn't have any goal contributions.
Numbers back it up too.
He played really well. He gives this perfect pass to Nico Jackson, who just has to slide it home with his left foot, and he shoots it right at the goalkeeper. Could you? I mean, that's 2 Mudryk assists we should have had. And then Raheem Sterling comes in as a sub. Now, Raheem Sterling, much maligned. Everyone talks about how his terrible performance against what was it, Leicester? Was it Leicester in the FA Cup? The FA Cup game where he was missed the penalty. Was that, I should know, Leicester or Leeds? It was Leicester.
It was Leicester, yeah.
The Leicester game where he stole a penalty from Cole Palmer and he missed it. And he was just terrible the rest of the game. He comes in and he gives this great assist to Cole Palmer, and Chelsea are in the lead. And I'm going nuts. I'm happy. I'm like, finally, they're in the lead. But no. Of course, Jordy Petrovic, who I have defended hard. I have really defended this guy. All he has to do, the corner comes, all he's got to do is catch the damn ball. And instead, he lets the ball go right through his hands like he was Steve Bartman, circa Cubs Marlins 2003 Game 6. He lets the ball go right through his damn hands. I mean, all 3 of us could have caught that ball.
Well, and it doesn't even, it's not that he had to even catch it. At least if he can punch it over the net.
Yeah.
That's new.
It needs to
anything.
Anywhere but what happened.
Yeah.
And then the tip, or excuse me, the cherry on top, rather. Oh my God. They have a shot. Again, there's still 10 men. They have a man advantage the whole time. I mean, Cole Palmer delivers this great cross to Raheem Sterling. All he has to do is put his head the right way, slot it home, and he gets to be a hero again. Nope. Over the bar. The Raheem special. The ball always going over the bar. Maybe he should be an NFL field goal kicker because he clearly knows how to lift the ball over the net, not into the net. I mean, I'm running out of things to say. I am running out of things to say with this team. That's how much they drive me nuts. And then, of course, I look at the bench and I see who's not there. Romeo Lavia, Christopher Nkunku, Carney Chukwuemeka, who seemingly every single time he does something good, he has to get hurt. Every single time. West Ham game, scores a goal. 20 minutes later, injured. Don't see him for months. The Liverpool game where I don't know if he got an assist but he looked like half decent in this Liverpool game where they got
He came off
slaughtered.
the bench and was very impactful.
Yes, he got hurt after that. The game where he scored the game-winning goal in the FA Cup against Leicester recently, hurt again. I mean, it doesn't end. And look, I don't want Pochettino to be fired, but could you give me a little more than this, please? Could you? I mean, again, let me just remind you, and I know I won't stop talking about this, but Enzo, what was it? James Madison and James Ward-Prowse. Do you know how much those two costs combined?
It's got to be under 70, 75 million.
70 million for the two of them. Romeo Lavia, 70 million for 30 minutes by himself. Enzo Fernandez, 100 mil. Moises Caicedo, 100 mil. For what?
Sideway passes.
Then again, if that's what they wanted, why didn't they keep Jorginho? Why didn't they just do that? I mean, seriously.
Jacobs officially lost it.
I mean, if that's what they wanted, they could have just done that. This team has no leadership, no spine, no gumption, whatever the hell that means. No, nothing. They have nothing. They are a rudderless ship. They are the Titanic. And I would feel more faith with that boat getting to the finish line than this one.
God.
I mean, and you know what I love? You know what's going to happen tomorrow when they play United? This is what's going to happen, folks. You ready? All right, here's the script. It's going to be either 1-0 Chelsea late in the game, or it's going to be 1-1. Eric Ten Hag's going to look to his bench, and he's going to go, who do I have left? Oh, Mason Mount. Hey, Mason, come in the game. He brings him in, and bam, game-winning goal, right in front of the Chelsea fans.
If he scores 2 and 2,
it's
be
going
nuts.
to happen. It's going to happen.
All right, well,
watch.
This will not be out before that. So if Jacob's right, this would continue a trend because he's doing pretty well with the bets.
No, but this is the problem. I usually don't get Chelsea stuff right. Every time I think that they're going to get destroyed, they probably don't get destroyed. And every time I actually think they're going to win, they disappoint me. So I'm always wrong. I'm right about a lot of other predictions except Chelsea. I'm always wrong about that. I've had enough. Just get the season over with now. Can we stop it now?
No, you need to climb higher. Or at least attempt to.
10 more games.
Hey, Ricardo, they can't even get into the top 10.
With the win tomorrow, they can.
You sure? Aren't they in like 12th again?
They are 2 points out of 10th with 2 games in hand.
Oh, so you know what that means, draw. And on Saturday, they play Sheffield United. And I'm just going to warn everybody now. If they do not beat Sheffield United, I will not accept a draw. If they don't beat Sheffield United, you better tune in. You better tune in. You will not want to miss it. I can promise you that. If they lose to that god-awful Sheffield United team, I promise you, you will not want to miss Stoppage Time Stooges episode 29, probably. You won't. In the words of Charles Barkley, guarantee you will not want to miss it. Because if they lose to freaking Sheffield, crummy 20th place United, and I don't care that, it's on the road. I don't care. If they don't beat that team, hell will reign over. Hell!
All right, we'll save you here. We'll save you some time. I want to bring up one player, and Ricardo, I want to get your take on this because me and Jacob were in a conversation about this player a couple days ago, and I think it's very interesting. Mykhailo Mudryk in that game against Burnley completed the most dribbles. He had 6. He was the most fouled player, which was 2 times, and he won the most duels with 10. 23, and this is what's interesting to me. He looks very comfortable when he's playing for his national team. He
Mhm.
scored the goal that put Ukraine to the Euros
Yep.
during the international break. He just looks comfortable on the ball. He's driving at defenders and he's causing problems. Then he goes to Chelsea, and I think he plays safe. Mainly, and maybe that's because he is worried that if he makes a mistake, Sterling's going to come in for him, or he's just going to be dropped to the bench.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at key players going into next season, I think you need to give him a run in the team for the next 10 games. He should be playing from the start in probably all of them because Sterling's been wasteful. He's
Yeah.
not been impactful as a facilitator. He had a good period early in the season, but Mudryk is very interesting to me because of what he does for his national team. He shows up. Ukraine's probably going to be a dark horse threat, and he's one of the reasons why in the Euros. So I think going forward, Chelsea really needs to put focus into the development of Mykhailo Mudryk and playing him more often because, again, it's hard to really develop in the Premier League if you're only playing 25 to 30 minutes off the bench every week.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what you think of Mudryk, given what he's done for Ukraine, certainly in recent memory.
Well, yeah, if he's not playing, if he's not starting necessarily, then yeah, it's going to be hard to be as confident or sort of find that form if you're just coming off the bench for 25, 30 minutes, like you said. Like you have to play games, get into rhythm and get into form. And it's just, again, it's just not enough coming off the bench. So I think, yeah, Pochettino has to consider playing him more, starting him more often. I mean, at this point, like, what do you have to lose? Really, it's not like you're going to get relegated, but like, still, someone has to develop, someone has to grow, and it's just like if you're seeing the potential and just that he can be this kind of player that we've seen him with the national team, then why not give it a shot? Like, I don't know, he can be that player for Chelsea. It's just it feels like he hasn't been allowed to because he doesn't start. So
Jacob,
Yeah,
what do you think of him?
I agree. I've been a big defender of his. I've tried. It's been a long journey. I've tried hard not to give up on him because I really believe that he's so talented, and he doesn't show it a lot. But I am telling you, when this guy unlocks his potential, he's going to be unstoppable. No one can run with him. I'm sorry. I don't think that there is a single guy in the Premier League that can beat him in a foot race. I just don't. If you watch the Burnley game, they have to shoulder tackle him because they just can't stop him. He got fouled twice. The penalty he created because he is so fast that people have to, grab him by the shoulder to stop him because they're not going to beat him in a foot race. And I think that his finishing's gotten better. Now, the one thing I will say is anytime he attempts a shot from out of the box, it does not go well. He does not. That's something that he needs to work on a lot. But the in close stuff, it's gotten better. I mean, the finishing, it's still not great. But again, do we need to see Raheem Sterling? Do we need to? I don't think we. Come on. No, we don't. The answer is no. We do not need to see him anymore. Mudryk has stuff to give. He's again a lightning bolt when he's running. Lightning bolt, like legitimately, like he's down in the flesh, like. And I think that a lot of his passing's gotten a lot better. As I said, he should have had 2 assists over the weekend. He really should have had 2 assists. And his finishing's gotten better. He's starting to score more. Like he scored a few more goals than last year he didn't score any. This year he has I think 3 maybe.
He has 6 in all comps, 4 in the league.
6 in all comps, 4 in the league. Okay. You have if you're Pochettino, you have nothing to lose with playing him every week. He should play every week. If he's fit, he should be one of the more automatic names in the team sheet. In my opinion, he should be and when I'm looking at the team sheet, I want Mykhailo Mudryk, like him, Malagusto, Jordy Petrovic, Cole Palmer. Those are my 4 automatic names in the team sheet going forward, in my opinion. And I think he should. I really firmly believe that if he can figure it out, what worries me is that I don't know if he's good enough to play for Chelsea, and I don't know if he's good enough to overcome all of this. That's my biggest concern, in all honesty. That's why I worry maybe if he was at a different club, if he was playing for a better manager, a better situation, etc., he'd be better off. But he isn't right now. But as far as Mudryk is concerned, I think if you're Chelsea, you need to let him play. He is a bright spot in this team if you let him play and you don't hinder him and you don't restrict him. He's like a wild dog. Just let him go. That's how I feel about Mudryk.
There's a feeling of unpredictability with him, which is why he's difficult to contain defensively. You don't know if he's going to drive at him and drive at a defender and go left and beat someone with the pace. I think it was against Newcastle. He had the goal where he dribbled through what seemed like 4 or 5 defenders. So again,
That was incredible.
That's what makes me believe there's something in there, because if he is able to do something like that and he has the pace and he's gradually improving as a finisher. Again, we see it with Ukraine. So it's not like it's never been on display. It's just a matter of playing him. And again, it's not a lost season because, again, there's still 10 games to go.
It's still possible they can win a trophy. As unlikely as
Right.
it is, it's still possible they can win the FA Cup.
But again, this is a club that's got much higher expectations through their history. So I think using these 10 games plus whatever remains in the FA Cup to allow him to flourish. And again, because they have Cole Palmer on the right, who is a nailed-on starter week in, week out. I think you have the potential to find your nailed-on first couple names on the team sheet at left wing with Mudryk. But again, he needs to play. That's a key for me as we watch Chelsea. And, of course, this will be out after, but we'll see if he features tomorrow off the bench or he starts against Manchester United.
He better start.
But
if he doesn't start, I'm going to be very upset.
It's gradually improving for him, which is one of the very important things for Chelsea moving forward. But that's enough Premier League. As you can see by the title, we have something very important to discuss, and that is the Champions League. Before we get into our predictions, this is our current standings. If you're watching on YouTube, we obviously have picked the round of 16 and the aggregate scores. Ricardo's currently first. Andrew slightly behind. Jacob's right there in third place. And don't listen to me because I'm dead last. But
you heard it from him
yes.
From him, folks. You heard it from him, folks.
That could change.
Before we get in, I'm going to put another ticker down for those watching on YouTube. These are the games, if you're not familiar with the matchup. So it's Arsenal versus Bayern, Real Madrid versus Manchester City, Atletico Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund, and Paris Saint-Germain against FC Barcelona. So, guys, let's not waste any time here, and let's discuss Arsenal versus Bayern. Jacob, what are you thinking of this going into the matchup starting next week?
I think Arsenal are miles better than Bayern Munich right now. Like, not in the same class at all. I know Bayern Munich is second in the Bundesliga, but they're second by a country mile. And Arsenal, they're in a heated race for the Premier League, but they have really just established themselves as a team that score a lot of goals and don't give up a lot of goals, which is the best combination that you can possibly have. The only reason that I'm weary of Arsenal right now is because they were very unconvincing against Porto, a team that I think they should have smashed. Honestly, I think they should have beat them easily. I don't think it should have came down to penalties and an extra time for them to beat Porto. I don't. But Bayern right now are just in a really weird form. They've kind of quit on the season. I know that they look pretty good against Lazio, but Lazio just fired their manager. I mean, I'm going to pick Arsenal here. I think that they're going to win. My predictions were that for the first leg, I have Arsenal winning 2-1. And then for the second, I like a 1-1 draw. But obviously that means Arsenal is going to go through on aggregate 3-2. And my X factor is William Saliba. I think Arsenal's defense it really has won them a lot of games this year. It's the reason they got a point, in my opinion, against Manchester City over the weekend. And I think William Saliba, now you can argue him versus Gabriel. It's a good debate. It's a very close debate, in my opinion. But I'm going to go for Saliba. I think he's been outstanding this year. I thought he was tremendous when the way which he man marked Erling Haaland over the weekend. And I think Arsenal's defense has been, especially those two, have been a brick wall. So I'm going to pick him, and I'm going to pick Arsenal to go through on aggregate 3-2.
Ricardo, same boat.
I mean, this is Arsenal's to lose, so yeah, I'm certainly in the same boat. I mean, it's just Bayern's. Yeah, their team is not. I mean, Porto. The reason they played well against Arsenal is because they played well as a team together. Bayern is not that. They just don't play well together at all. It's just dysfunctional, and it's just pathetic from Tuchel kind of just saying congrats to Leverkusen, you won the league, or whatever. But
talk about loser mentality.
I mean that might just have been sarcasm for all we know, but still, it's just you don't say that, and it's just Arsenal paper. Defensively, Jacob, as you said, way better. Offensively, also better. And I think the X factor is probably going to have to be. I put Odegaard for this because I mean he did have an assist against Porto, but other than that, I mean his last few games
Scored today.
Well, that was the only one, but besides that one, before today, he only had one goal contribution in 5 games, his last 5. So, he's the captain, correct?
He is the captain of Arsenal.
So he's got to live up to the billing, and provide more goals, be more impactful. Not to say that he hasn't been, but I just expect more from him, especially from a player of his caliber, his quality. And I mean, he's just going to have to provide more. And I'm not worried about the defense whatsoever. I could have picked Saliba. He was definitely up there, but that's more just like, I'm just not worried about them. Offensively, is where I'm kind of concerned with, as we saw with Porto. But again, Bayern's not very good, and center defensive midfield is kind of shaky. Just the midfield in general, not as good as Arsenal. So that's something Odegaard should be able to exploit.
I agree with both of you, but I'm going the other way. And, here there's a couple reasons why. I think one of them is I feel confident, which is maybe crazy to say, but Bayern plays the second leg at home. And I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal only were to win the first leg by 1 goal. And that puts them in a lot of trouble, I think, going into the second leg. Because, again, Bayern, the last time these two teams faced off in the Champions League, lost both legs, I think by a score of 5-1.
5-1, yeah.
And
when was that?
Very, very different circumstances, totally different teams. Basically, everybody that was involved in those games are no longer with those clubs. There's a couple players with Bayern, with Manuel Neuer and Thomas Muller. But again, the key players, they were nowhere to be found in this current tie. But I just think Bayern's going to have a lot to play for because, again, this is all they have. And Arsenal's also in a league title race. So they're juggling a lot. They're a younger team. I know they have some leaders in their squad, but none of these players have played at this level in the final 8 of the quarterfinals in the Champions League. So it's still a learning process. Listen, they're the more cohesive side. They are, on paper, the better team. But the second leg is in Germany, and Arsenal does not have a number 9 who they can trust week in, week out, and Bayern does. So, the build-up, as Ricardo mentioned, there's some problems in the defensive midfield. I think the defense for Bayern has been shaky for 60 to 70% of the season, but they have a number 9 who has a really good goal-scoring record against Arsenal. He scored 14 goals in 22 matches against Arsenal all time. He's not scoring every game, but that's at least a goal every other game. It's more than that. So I just think with the second leg in Germany, I don't know if Arsenal at this moment in time are going to be able to score multiple goals at home against Bayern because I feel like they're a little tired. Of course, today, if you watch Bukayo Saka not involved, I know he's dealing with a bit of an injury. So I just think Arsenal dealing with 2 competitions, second leg in Germany, and Harry Kane being the best player in this tie, in my opinion. I know Bukayo Saka's had a very good season. Declan Rice has been sensational. But I think Harry Kane right now is still, even in a disjointed side, such a threat over 180 minutes. So I'm going to take Bayern to win on aggregate 3-2. And my X factor is Leroy Sané, who has not scored in 24 matches.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored since October.
It's a shame.
That's well said, Jacob.
I
Because
used to love him at Manchester City. He was so much fun to watch.
Sané is 28 in the prime of his career. And after a hot start in like September and October, he's gone completely silent.
Another guy Tuchel ruined. No.
Well,
he needs to show up, because when you're looking at the creative players who can facilitate for Harry Kane, it's Jamal Musiala, Leroy Sané, Kingsley Coman, and Serge Gnabry have returned recently. I think Sané needs to have a big quarterfinal if they want to go through, but I'm going to take them to win 3-2, and they're going to overturn this thing in the second leg. Andrew agrees with both of you. He has also, by the way, has Arsenal winning the Champions League.
This was his final, remember? If you remember correctly, this was supposed to be his final.
And this was also my final. So we're both immediately going. But he is taking Arsenal to win over 2 legs, 4-2. And his X factor is Kai Havertz. And he said, quote, Germany will call him a traitor.
That's good. That's pretty good.
Last time it was me versus everyone else. It did not go well, and that was Napoli-Barca. So I'm hoping for better things. But again, as you saw in the live ticker, Mr. DeBlock over here is in dead last. So take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Did I say my
I will.
Score, by the way?
Go ahead.
Did I say my aggregate score, by the way?
I don't think you did.
4-2 was also mine.
4-2? Okay.
4-2. Yeah, mine's 3-2.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Very similar score lines across the board, but we're going to get to a matchup that is on the mind of Ricardo and Andrew. Real Madrid versus Manchester City. Ricardo, I'll start with you. Confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10, and then what are your overall thoughts going into this?
1 to 10. I mean, if you asked me this like 2 weeks ago before the international break, I would have said maybe a 4. You ask me now, I think more of a 6.5. Feeling a little better, and it's unfortunate, but Manchester City's injuries, Kyle Walker being the absolute biggest one. I mean, Ederson's going to come back. I mean, I think he'll be back, right, for these 2 legs. So
he was close for the Arsenal match, so I envision him.
Yeah,
I don't know. He wasn't involved today, but I think they're saving him for that.
Did they play on a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Those 2 games, the one we just mentioned and this one, are both Tuesday next week.
So, man, I mean that injury to Walker is huge because I mean obviously he's their quickest, their fastest defender they have, and would match up really well against Vini and Rodrigo, who are the wingers, obviously. So, not having him, I mean that could spell trouble for City, defensively, especially on the counter in transition because City plays a very high line as well. So that could go against them in the first leg, which is in Madrid. Sadly, because I wish it'd been the other way around because usually we do better in the second leg when it's at home. But, that's just how it went. But it's the other thing that's so fascinating to me, Rodrigo plays very well off the left, which is where Vini plays. So if they could maybe switch more often in the game, if they could just rotate, maybe they cause even more problems with that because for the most part, it seems like Vini and Rodrigo kind of stick to their own sides. Every now and then they'll switch, but I think it has to happen more often. But there's the big key player, I mean, that could come back and might start is Militao. That's, coming back from the ACL injury, and he made a late appearance this past week, but we'll see what happens. But my X factor in this game is Antonio Rudiger, former Chelsea guy, Jacob, one of your favorites. And this is purely based off of last season's semifinal over 2 legs. The first leg, City and Madrid, it was Rudiger actually started in place of, I believe it was Militao, who was suspended, and he was a pest. He was just bugging Haaland the entire time. He kind of shut him down, and physically he matches up well against him too. So I think it's going to have to be a similar case this time around, and he's obviously going to be starting regardless. Who knows who his partner is, but Haaland's not in great form right now. Who knows if he has a knock or something, but that to me, the defense, man marking, making life difficult for Haaland, and kind of just trusting the rest of his defense to do their jobs while he kind of sticks to Haaland, I think is going to be huge. Otherwise, I think Haaland would take over the game. De Bruyne, sure, but with that being said, I have Madrid winning. I feel like it's City's just vulnerable right now. This is a good time, which is weird to say. There's a good time to play them. And we also have 9 days rest. We're going to be coming off 9 days of rest, so that could help us as well. So I'm going to say Real Madrid win in extra time. Oh man, I said 4-3. I said 4-3
4-3.
in extra time in the second leg.
Jacob?
Oof, this is a tough one. I've always had a affinity for Real Madrid. I always have, I always will, but I did pick Man City to go to the final, even though I had them losing to Inter. Thanks, Inter. Stupid.
I also have City in the final, but whatever.
That's one of the reasons I'm going to stick with City. I wish Real Madrid were a little more healthy, mainly Courtois being there and their whole back line being available, but it's not.
Don't sleep on Lunin. Don't sleep on
No, I'm not. I'm not sleeping. I'm not sleeping on Lune. I'm wide awake. I just he's going to be really tested in this one. We're going to really find out what he's
he answered the call against Leipzig to his credit. So
I know, but that's Leipzig.
way too often. Yeah,
This is the big boys. That was the JV team. This is the varsity. Okay, I mean, this is, you know what I mean. Like,
honestly, Leipzig, in considering the circumstances,
well, that's modified ball.
They might be a freshman team.
That's the freshman team. This is the varsity team. You put it more eloquently than I did.
That's
With that being said, I will pick City. I do think this is going to be two very entertaining, tough legs between these two teams. I don't think this is going to be easy at all. I'll go with the aggregate first. I actually have Real Madrid winning because they're at home first. I have them winning 2-1. And then I think the City will go back to Etihad and they're going to win convincingly 3-1, which means they're going to win 4-3 on aggregate. Unfortunately, ripping Ricardo's poor heart out.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Which is not what I don't want it to be this way. I just think it's going to happen this way. My X factor is Julian Alvarez, who I'll never forget the Shaq Christian Wood thing where he's like, I wasn't familiar with your game. I'm sorry. That's me with Julian Alvarez because holy, you know what, that guy is good. His goal contribution rate is insane. He's 8 goals, 8 assists in the Premier League. He has 5 goals in the Champions League. He clearly he's not daunted by anything. He's really one of their key cogs in their attack in this sort of new formation thing that Pep has done starting last year, where he sort of abandoned the 4-3-3 and went with this whole new look that really changed, I think, a lot of how they went about their attack and way they play. With that being said, yeah, I like Alvarez as my X factor, and unfortunately for Ricardo and Andrew, I think Man City will go through 4-3 on aggregate.
So if you asked me at noon today, I would have told you Real Madrid's going through, but my mind changed.
In 9 hours, it changed.
Cold feet.
So, and this is really interesting. You guys will probably both find this very eye-opening. So since the turn of the year, City has 14 wins and 3 draws, no losses. Real Madrid's rate is pretty much the same. It's very close. 13 wins, 4 draws, and 1 loss. So form tells you these teams are this close. I mean, it's a matter of inches. It's going to be one of those fine details that I think determines who goes through. I think the X factor for me, and Ricardo, you mentioned how important Kyle Walker is. The guy that's going to play in his slot is my X factor, and that's Manuel Akanji, who has played 3 positions. He's played center back, he's played right back, he's played as that makeshift center defensive mid next to Rodri at times, where he steps into midfield.
The John
So,
Stones role, yeah.
right. And John Stones was on the bench tonight, so we'll see if, by that time he's available. I think he will be. Certainly to come off the bench, probably to start too. But Akanji is going to be matched up with, as we've talked about, Vinicius. And maybe if Rodrigo is, if they intertwine and, change sides at points. Either way, he's got a matchup that he has to be really strong defensively. If he steps into midfield and they get caught in behind, both of them have the pace to, drive at defenders and score on their own. So I think he has a really important role to play, assuming that Walker misses both legs. I think he will definitely miss next week because Pep has said that the doctors have determined he's not going to be able to go. Seems more serious than originally expected. So, yeah, it's not going to be Walker at right back, but I just think that City has a lot of threats, and I know they're not in the greatest of form, but again, they haven't lost since December. As bad as they've looked at times, they still haven't lost a match since that period. So it's going to be really close. I would not be surprised if Real Madrid goes through. But again, for me, the fact that City plays at home in the second leg gives them a slight edge. I feel confident about those teams that play that second leg at home. It just feels that way, especially if the first leg is tight. And I expect it to be, even if Real Madrid wins by a goal potentially. But yeah, I was very close to taking Real Madrid. It was something that prior to literally noon this afternoon, I was going to pick them. But Akanji's my X factor. I have them winning also by an aggregate score of 4-3. But Ricardo, you're not alone.
Okay, good.
Andrew has taken Real Madrid to win, which this will be very stressful for the both of you. 2-2, and they go on penalties.
I had penalties before too, but I was like, no.
And his X factor, anybody want to take a guess?
Wait. Oh, I know.
Yeah, please tell me it's who I think it is.
Kamavinga.
Yeah.
No.
What? Wow.
Wait.
I thought it was Kamavinga.
One more guess?
Oh,
Lunin.
Lunin.
You said Lunin,
We
Ricardo?
both said Lunin.
We both did, yeah. What?
Is it Valverde?
He has, in all caps, my guy, Brahim Diaz.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I should
You
have
did it
thought of
last
that.
time too. You did it the first, yeah. Okay, fair enough.
That'll be a chaotic one if it goes to penalties. And again, we talked about it during our last recap. 2 penalty shootouts in the round of 16, and it had been, Ricardo, what year? It was like 2017 was the last time?
I think it was 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
So for a third penalty shootout in the knockout stages, that'd be a pretty ridiculous stat. But split down the middle, 2-2 here. So we'll see how that unfolds.
God.
But let's go to the other Spanish team in Madrid. Atleti versus Borussia Dortmund. All of us picked Borussia Dortmund to beat PSV. And me and Jacob were unfortunately disappointed by Inter, who threw it away. Actually, probably all 4 of us were disappointed to a certain extent. At least Ricardo and Andrew had picked Atleti to go through, so their standings reflect that. But Jacob, I'll start with you. It's an interesting matchup. Which way are you leaning?
Atleti. I feel pretty confident that they're going to win. However, their form is not as good as I want it to be, considering how I feel as far as my confidence level picking them to win this game. It hasn't been great. They've been pretty shaky lately. They've had a lot of draws, some bad defeats. They haven't looked great, which is why they're only in 4th in La Liga. And I know they're going to be in the Champions League, but still, what they're considering their level, they should be ahead of Girona. But nonetheless, they're going to win. Dortmund I've never believed in them. ever. I think that they've had a cookie cutter gateway to this point. Let's be honest about that. They've had a very much piece of cake route to the Elite Eight, or excuse me, the quarterfinal, for lack of a better word. And I predict that the first leg will be Atleti 2-0. And I think Dortmund will win the second leg 1-0 at home, but it's not going to matter because Atleti is going to be through on aggregate 2-1. My X factor is, of course, Antoine Griezmann. I mean, this guy loves the big game. He's never feared the moment. He loves playing in these high pressure situations, whether it's for France, for Atletico. He delivers 9 times out of 10, and I think he will across 2 legs in this situation as well.
Ricardo, are you taking your city rival again?
I have to. I don't trust Dortmund. It's as simple as that. And it might be closer than. I mean, it probably will be close because, like you said, Jacob, Atleti's form hasn't been good, hasn't been great exactly. So, but my X factor, I'm gonna go with Morata, who, I mean, he's just such a streaky player, and it's just when he's on, he's really like when he's hot, he's hot. When he's cold, he's just ice cold. My God, I mean, seriously, it's just there's no middle ground with him. So,
No, there's not.
yeah, you would know, Jacob.
I know.
All
I
too
think
well.
I think I also had him as my X factor in the last leg. I might not have, but he's coming off an injury from like February, which he's only played a full 90 minutes once. He hasn't scored in his last 4 Champions League games, so now would be the time to turn it on and start getting streaky again, get hot again. So it can't just be Griezmann. I would have picked him, but it's like I don't know. He's gonna do his thing regardless. But I think outside of him, like Depay, I don't know if he'll start. He might, but again, not consistent either. So I just think it falls more on Morata for his aerial ability. So and I think my score, I have 3-1 Atletico on aggregate. So yeah.
I'm going to be on my own again.
You love doing this. You do not learn your lesson, do you?
So I feel pretty confident here. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way Dortmund played at Bayern. And Bayern not in the greatest of form, but it is really difficult to go to the Allianz Arena for Dortmund especially and win. It had been close to a decade.
Yeah.
So, say what you want about Bayern, but Dortmund are really in good form. They have 9 wins in their last 13 in all comps, and 8 of those 9 wins have been by multiple goals. So, numbers-wise, that's really promising in my eyes for Dortmund. And again, not in the greatest form, Jacob, as you mentioned, Atletico Madrid. They have 8 losses since the turn of the year. 6 of them have been away from home. So, again, they're typically taking advantage of playing at home and in front of their home crowd. But again, they've lost twice. So, they can be found out at home. It was Athletic Bilbao, who are obviously into the Copa del Rey final. That was in that tournament. And then they lost 3-0 to Barca, which was one of the shock results of the season. It was something that, all of us would not have expected, especially with Barca's, inconsistencies. But for me, the X factor is Sebastian Haller, who had a really good AFCON with the Ivory Coast, scored, I think, the game winner in the final, and just returned from injury. He's had an assist in that game against Bayern. And, Nicholas Füllkrug has been, awesome for them. Somebody that really did not expect to be scoring as many goals as he has. He's been their number 9 all season, and he's been efficient. But I think if you're looking at a game that potentially could go to extra time in the second leg, Haller could come on and cause problems. This is a guy that scored a ton of goals for Ajax in the Champions League before his big move. I think there's going to be drama in this because, again, Dortmund are really difficult. That they got through the group of death. That's pretty remarkable. None of us had that down.
Nope.
We all had them finishing last. And again, PSV, not a team that's got a lot of pedigree recently in this competition, but they made it pretty difficult. Luke de Jong had a ton of chances in that second leg that could have made things more interesting. But I think Dortmund, if you're looking strictly on form at the moment, they're better. And I think Madrid if you look at star power, they have the stars. Griezmann's probably the best player in this tie. He's been in unreal form this season. But I think collectively as a team and given their form, I'm going to give Dortmund the advantage. And I believe the second leg is in Dortmund. So that, again, goes into my feelings that the team that has the second leg at home has the advantage, which I'll pull that up now. They do. And I have them winning by a score of 4-2. I think they'll get a late goal to ice it, 85th minute in that second leg at home. But as I mentioned, I'm on my own. Andrew's also taken Atleti for a second time, and he has them winning by a score of 2-1. So very low scoring, two-legged tie. And
Same
a
with me.
player,
Yeah.
a player that Ricardo mentioned potentially could start. His X factor is Memphis Depay, and he had a goal in that second leg against Inter, who he believed that was the goal that sent them to extra time. So he's looked a little bit better lately. He's started some matches. I think he's getting his match fitness up, which is important. And again, especially if Morata or a Griezmann misses one of those two games with a knock or something, Depay is proving to be serviceable and really effective in his limited time. So I think that's a really good shout from Andrew. And then let's finish off with a very interesting one. PSG versus Barcelona.
Oh God, please! I hate all of this.
Is Kylian going to come back to hurt a team he's hurt in the past? Jacob, I know you potentially could be on the other side, so I'll start with Ricardo. What are you thinking here?
Oh man,
You gonna pick PSG now, huh? You gonna do it now?
I have to. I can't pick Barcelona. I want them to suffer. I want them to burn. I want Xavi to lose and not win any trophies. And
It's not gonna happen.
Fraudulent campaign at Barcelona, but I'm going with it. But this really is to me the coin flip. Man, I don't like it either way. It's just I don't like PSG. I hate Barca more.
too.
I hate Barca more.
This really is the toilet bowl for Ricardo. Oh my god!
PSG's
both teams,
and then Barca's up.
This is like this must be like watching like a giant eagle game or a giant cowboy game for you.
Literally, yeah. Like, why can't I'm cheering for Dortmund to go to the final, and that's pathetic.
Oh no!
That's how bad it is for me right
Anybody
now.
but Dortmund in the final, please.
But
God,
my my X factor is Colomboani because I mean, yeah, Mbappe is going to get all
too obvious
the attention. That's too obvious too. But and because Mbappe is so good, he's going to get way more attention, way more. I mean, at least 2 or 3 players marking him, so that could open up some more space for Colomboani potentially. And I mean, Barca's been in decent form defensively. They're okay. They're starting to figure it out a little more, but I think Colomboani is going to have to step up. I think he started his last 2 games and not scored in either. And they scored a combined 8 goals and said he didn't contribute in any of them. So he needs to step to the plate. He has to contribute in some form or fashion. And especially in this, because I think this will be kind of high scoring, kind of back and forth. So honestly, I'm just cheering for chaos, I guess. But I guess PSG. Yeah, but I'm gonna go PSG 4-3 and advance.
Jacob,
we're in the season of March Madness with the NCAA tournament, and I'm getting a sneaky suspicion that Barcelona are embarking on a Cinderella run.
No,
I'm not saying I like it, but I just get this weird feeling that they're gonna rise up for Xavi in his honor. Again, I do find hilarious that they've lost 3 games in La Liga, and people think he's like a horrible manager. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I would kill for my team to only have 3 losses in the league, but that's another story. Getting back to basics and getting back to this game in particular, Obviously, Barcelona have not had their best year, but despite all that, I mean, they've gone 11 games run without a defeat. They're on a pretty good run of form right now. It seems like they're kind of fighting for Xavi. They're kind of playing for him because his back's against the wall. And look, PSG, we've talked about this. It's Mbappe and a bag of chips. They just don't have a very good team right now around him. He really does have to carry them in many respects. So with that being said, my aggregate score is first game. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw. And then I think in the second leg, Barcelona will win 2-1, and they will win on aggregate. What was that?
3-2.
3-2. 3-2. They win on aggregate 3-2. And my X factor is, of course, Robert Lewandowski, who is a prime time player and is going to deliver. Someone has to score the goals for this Barcelona team, and it's probably going to be him.
Lamine Yamal will.
Okay.
That's certainly another option, but I am going to focus on a player who will be marking Robert Lewandowski. My X factor is Lucas Beraldo, who is
Oh my god.
no, and for some that don't know him, he's actually playing a lot of football. He was in the Brazil squad during the international window and started both matches. And this is my reasoning behind picking him as the X factor is because of the absences at the back. Marquinhos has missed a lot of time. I think he'll be back and he'll be fine. But they're missing Kimpembe with a Achilles injury. I think he's probably done for the season, but either way, not going to be available for either of these games. And Lucas Beraldo's coming in from Sao Paulo in January and pretty much started every match. And when you talk about Lewandowski, a experienced quality striker who's done it in this competition for a number of years, they're going to need someone to be really touch tight to him at all times, because if you give him a half chance, he will bury it. He did it against Napoli. He's done it for plenty of games this season. They need to really be attention 100% on him because, again, the outside wingers, besides Lamine Yamal, who's been fantastic given his age, everyone else has been up and down. João Felix got off to a hot start. Haven't seen much of him lately. Ferran Torres goes through periods where he's scoring goals. I don't believe he's in one of those at the moment. So it's going to be interesting from an offensive point of view for Barcelona because, again, if they're not scoring goals, there's periods throughout the season where they've looked really shaky and they've given up some leads. That problem has gone away as of late. Their last loss was that bizarre game against Villarreal where they lost 5-3 at home. I believe it was the final score. So they've cleaned things up, but I'm also not going to make the mistake of picking against PSG for a second consecutive round. So I think this is going to be pretty comfortable for them. I don't feel, as good as I have in years past. And, Barca, again, they only have 3 losses in their last 19 matches, so they're in good form. But Mbappe is just a different beast, and this is hypocritical of me because, Real Sociedad was going to be able to cover him. So, I'll make fun of myself. So that's okay. But I think this is going to be comfortable. I think this is going to be I think this is the only one I see where it's going to be handily comfortable for one side. I think PSG wins 5-2 on aggregate.
Whew.
I think they're going to.
So let me get this straight. So you go from not thinking they could be freaking Sociedad to now, they're going to be Barcelona aggregate 5-2.
I don't live in the past.
Good comeback.
That's all I have to say. Again, there's and I'll say it again for the third time. There's a reason why I'm in last place here. So I'm not going to do it twice. I'm going to try to make up some ground here, but that's also how I feel. So second leg is in Spain. So that's going against what I said for the first 3. But I think PSG is going to be in a really comfortable spot going into that second leg. I could see them winning by 2-3 goals at home. And, that seems a little bizarre. But again, PSG hasn't lost in 18, so they're in a good spot here. They haven't lost since November, so they're in a good run of form. Andrew has also gone with PSG. He has them winning by a score of 3-1 across 2 legs, and his X factor is Ousmane Dembele in an all caps revenge games. So,
I didn't even think of that. That's a great arc.
That's very true. Very
it's
true.
it's gonna be an important one for him because again, Jacob, spot on with your analysis of PSG. The supporting players for them in the attacking third have not been there, not consistently at least. Goncalo Ramos and Koulibaly. Actually, I think the most consistent one, maybe besides Mbappe, has been Barcola, who had that really good goal against Sociedad. Maybe it's him as well. I think that's another shout for an X factor. But Andrew's gone with Dembele. So those are our predictions for the quarterfinals. Of course, those take place next week. You'll probably see this either at the end of this week or Monday, the day before. So check that out. Of course, continue to check us out on Twitter. We'll be placing or we'll be discussing our best bets. Actually, all 4 of us are kind of in good form at the moment. Or Ricardo could be tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
What does he got
Shush,
tomorrow?
we're not talking about it. We're not talking about it.
I won't say. I'm not gonna jinx it. Don't worry. I just want to know what you got.
His last leg of 4 is Liverpool. If Liverpool don't beat
what else? What are the other 3?
He had PSG to win today. That hit. You had Manchester City to win. That hit.
Yeah.
Arsenal to win.
And all you need is what Liverpool to do.
If Liverpool do not beat Sheffield United,
Listen,
this will be my
Let's go Sheffield.
I'll have my rant of the week.
Sheffield.
no, please.
No, actually, no. I want
need to
Sheffield to win because I want them to be on this emotional high after, and then Chelsea will destroy them. That's what I want.
I need this win bad. I need this. Please, Liverpool, don't let me down.
Jacob's doing well.
Yeah.
Martin Odegaard, 1 shot on target in the first half.
And that's being the goal.
That's a sharp bet.
That's crazy.
I told you about Tottenham. I told the folks about Tottenham. Even though they didn't do it yesterday, I told them about Tottenham.
Crazy specific.
And I should have had 3 if Christian the Block didn't, sprinkle his little jinx magic.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well.
It's okay.
But we'll see how those go. Ricardo, I hope I didn't spoil you because again, if I jinxed myself. So
yeah, that's on you.
I'm gonna be grumpy for a while if that's the case. But
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We'll see how that goes. But of course, thank you for watching. Andrew will probably be back next week. Of course, if you're still watching, make sure you say happy birthday to him or a late happy birthday to our good friend Andrew. Thank you for watching. And of course, make sure to check us out next time. See you guys later.